Hi, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today I went to my son's pre-K classroom to talk about my job as a YouTuber, yarn dyer, and fiber artist. And I had a lot of fun teaching a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds about yarn dyeing, and we even did some little samples in class. And so in today's video, I'm going to tell you about what we did and the project that we created. The project that we did actually required minimal prep work. I started by winding some Knit Picks Wool of the Andes superwash yarn into some mini skeins. This yarn is 100% superwash wool and is one that takes up color really easily. Now, I was limited by what I could bring to the classroom because as much fun as it would be to do some dip dyeing a broken violet, I couldn't really bring a hot plate into the classroom. It just wouldn't be safe. I only had half an hour, and so I wanted to do a project that the kids could really be involved with, that is safe, but maybe not the messiest one. Or at least when it's messy, it's easy to clean up both the kids and the classroom when we're done. So we went for a bunch of sugar sprinkles. I brought ones from the supermarket, and I filled some dollar store containers up with some of these like $1 packets that you can find at craft stores. The rainbow ones were a huge, oh my goodness, huge hit. The kids, and there were probably at least 15 kids there, really loved getting to pour these sprinkles onto the yarn. And I'm obviously not going to show any of the kids' faces or anything, but I will insert some pictures of the kids putting these sprinkles on yarn. Now, as you know, to dye yarn with food coloring, you need a wool-based yarn, a protein-based yarn. You need the food coloring, which we've got in our sprinkles, and then you need heat. I pre-soaked these mini skeins that I wound in some water with a huge, healthy splash of vinegar and let that soak for a couple hours. I then squeezed out most of the water and placed the mini skeins onto these plastic plates so that way I could bring it into the classroom for really easy setup. Then we arranged all these plates on their kid tables after I gave my presentation and set up the sprinkle containers around and let the kids go wild. And it was really interesting to see the kids like mine who absolutely dumped whatever they could onto the yarn, and then some of the kids that had a little bit more restraint. Overall, I think that this was a blast of a project, and this was probably the easiest way you could let a large group of pre-K kids dye some yarn. Now, obviously, there is still some work to do. The colors have not been set. This has not been washed. We've got some mess around. But I let these soak with the sprinkles on them for a couple of hours, in part to let the sprinkles dissolve, in part because that's the way my day schedule went. But now I am about to place these in a microwave safe container so that way we can set the color on the yarn so that way the coloration can be permanent. Unfortunately, this isn't a step that I could do with the kids in the classroom, but I brought all the yarn home, and so I'll take care of the heating step here. And I'll show you that in just a minute. The plastic plates not only made it easy for the kids to keep the sprinkles on the yarn, but it also made it really easy for me to bring them home because I just stacked the plates on top of one another. Clearly, there's a lot of leftover sprinkles, so I think that I will probably do a no sprinkles left behind video with those in a little bit. But now let's get ready to set the color. Here I have a microwave safe bowl, and I am going to start maybe only a couple at a time, trying to pick some that might have some similar colors. At least those both have black. So maybe I'll do these two first. Oh my. And yep, this one was Lucas. Okay, I'm gonna cover this bowl with this microwave safe silicone thing so that way the water will stay trapped in. And then I'm gonna microwave it on high for a total of 4 minutes using 2-minute increments so that way things don't get too hot. Here, we really wanna make sure that we don't burn the sugar, so making sure that things are wet enough is important. or at least important to pay attention to. I have never observed any sugar burning myself, but I know some other people have reported that. And these have a lot of sprinkles on them. I'm sort of grouping them by color a bit as I place them in the bowls. These might be a little fun to untangle later. Oh my. There is a lot of dye here. Only one of the kids took a bite of the sprinkles. Thankfully, they mostly were aware that this was not food, or that it could be food sometimes, but wasn't food today. All right. And as we can see, there's a lot left behind. Oh, Lucas, I love your enthusiasm. I think 1 round of 2 minutes was probably sufficient here. You can see a lot of the candy has dissolved, some of it hasn't, but it is nice and hot. Maybe once it's cooled, I'll pop it in for another minute or something, but I don't want to overheat it. So these are small, they aren't dripping, so I'm going to err on the side of caution because I think each one of these has, probably like 20 to 40 grams, each one of these bowls. All right, let's see. Yeah, that's definitely hot to touch. You can see there's still a little bit of sprinkles in there, but I think a lot has sunk into the yarn. So 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes is good today. Now, obviously, the sugar sprinkles themselves dissolve a lot faster than the nonpareils. Those ones will require a little bit more washing. And this is one of the reasons why I picked a superwash yarn, because I know it can hold up to the washing. But the other reason is that you can see sharper speckles on superwash yarn than you do non-superwash. And so that's why I picked this base. All right, new recommendation time. There is like a hard piece of something in there. I don't think it burnt, but I think that some sugar has come together. I'm gonna start washing, but maybe you might wanna try to shake off as much of the excess sugar as possible before microwaving. I'm not going to show the whole washing stage, but I'll come back if there's something else notable. Good news, that big sugar chunk is dissolving. So it's just going to take, some time and water. But phew. But yeah, just something to keep in mind, and so I'm glad I only microwaved it for 2 minutes. All the sugar blobs came out. And the yarn might be a little tangled, but nothing that I can't manage. Thankfully, they are mini skeins. But right now, I'm soaking it in just some warm water with a splash of vinegar. There was still a tiny bit of bleeding before, but this sort of helped all the yarn, all 100 grams, to just sort of absorb everything that's left. And then I'll do a final rinse in a little while. How did these pre-K kids that were giving a whole rainbow of colors create the most perfect fade set ever? I mean, if I had gone and dyed this with food coloring or acid dyes and created a set like this, I would be so thrilled. I'm just absolutely impressed and amazed. Interestingly enough, when Lucas looked at this set, he knew immediately the one that he had dyed, because I think he said something, it's like, I dumped a lot on so there would be less specks and more color, or something like that. Brilliant kid, my Lucas. The only thing that I am disappointed about is that there's only 100 grams of yarn here. And there are at least 5 teachers in the classroom, and so I really want to turn this into something for the teachers. So I might do like a coffee cup cozy or some kind of mug rug or something, so that way each of the teachers can have a little bit of the art from the class. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and if you found this vlog interesting and useful, make sure that you're subscribed to the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel. I do a lot of yarn dyeing videos on my own, but my kids do sometimes make an appearance, and I have a whole playlist dedicated to dyeing with the Chem Kids that you can see in the video description and iCard. And don't worry, I didn't leave any of those extra sprinkles behind. Stay tuned for another video where I leave no sprinkles behind and use them up to dye a full skein of yarn. Thank you so much for watching.